named after the Somers family. In the 18th century, Somers Town was a grand place, but by the 19th century it had fallen onto hard times, and particularly by the early 1920s, a lot of the housing around here had turned into slums. And the biggest problem most people confronted were with not only kind of overcrowding conditions, bugs and so forth, but the difficulty is that what to do, how to sweep away the old and create a new. This series of blocks was uninteresting because the LCC were looking at more experimental ideas of how to house people who would be kind of removed from this huge slum clearance program. And the big house named after then chair of the LCC was created after a series of blocks of flats that were created for Viennese workers in the heart of Vienna, called the Karl Marx Hof. And the LCC looked at it and thought, we like this, we want the plan. Previous 1920s and 30s blocks of flats had a similar character, and this series of blocks was probably the most experimental of their day, and still remain a really interesting example of interwar housing. What is interesting about these blocks of flats is that, like so many people that have moved into them, it was a breath of fresh air, as you can imagine. The people who were in overcrowded slum conditions, these flats offered internal toilet facilities. It also provided people with gas, electricity and so forth. And you wouldn't fill a family of 10, 12, 14 people in a room or two rooms, as was the case in most of the slums in the Somers Town area. These were very creative, visionary blocks of flats. Sadly, this didn't stay that way. 1960s and 70s, like so many big problems in inner cities, these flats became decanted. The council were concerned about what to do with them. A lot of the original tenants were decanted, they became squatted. Serious problems with squatters. Some of the people I've interviewed during this period talk about it wasn't just the squatters tended to be more like groups of Hell's Angels and serious drug addicts coming in and causing mayhem. And for a long, long time, no one really knew what to do with the place. But so far, the big change came when Canada started to bring new communities in, and particularly new arrivals from different parts of the world, Bangladesh and later on Somalia, who moved in and the houses were done up. It actually became now look like terrific examples of the sort of the vision that the LCC had in the 1920s and 1930s.
Was there any attempt to demolish them?
There was an attempt